If Congress can agree on a set of new provisions for the Farm Bill by January 1st, the price of milk could rise to as much as $8 per gallon. Sydney Kashiwagi has more on the story.
Owner of DC's popular ice cream spot, Larry's Homemade Ice Cream, has run his business for over 2 decades, serving fresh ice cream daily to DC locals and visitors. Each week, Larry uses more than 200 gallons of milk to make his ice cream, for his store and for other businesses around the city. But come January 1st, if Congress, just a few miles away from Larry's ice cream shop, does not reach an agreement on the new policy for the $500 million Farm Bill that sets policy for farm subsidies, food stamps, and other agricultural-related projects, the cost of a gallon of milk could skyrocket to $8 per gallon.
Everything is depends on milk here. Milk is very important for us. It's our water, air, blood.
And if these new provisions to the Farm Bill aren't passed soon, Larry will be forced to close his doors.
If the milk price went up to $8, then I should lock the door and get the hell out of Dodge City.
If the potential subsidy increase causes the price of milk to rise, many of our other favorite products like cereal, butter, and cheese would also be affected by the Farm Bill.
In a country where each individual consumes about 812 pounds of dairy products each year, this kind of increase could affect grocery stores, restaurants, families, and other small businesses like Larry's.
I buy milk. I probably buy 2 gallons a week, and it's going to make my budget, my grocery bill go up quite a lot. And it is one of the foods that I buy frequently. So it'll be a challenge.
Last week, Wednesday, Congress started negotiations on the bill. But if bipartisan gridlock continues, expired dairy supports could change what we eat and what we buy.
And if they go up significantly, I imagine some people just aren't going to be able to afford it anymore, and they'll have to, cut that out of their diet.
So if Congress doesn't agree on a new set of regulations for the Farm Bill, expect to buy milk for $8 per gallon. Reporting for District Wire News, I'm Sydney Kashiwagi.
Ordering a salad instead of a donut is supposed to be the healthy choice, right? According to a new study by Credit Suisse, some salads contain more sugar than sweet treats like donuts and ice cream. California Pizza Kitchen's Thai chicken salad has on average 48 grams of sugar per serving, compared to Ben & Jerry's vanilla ice cream, which has only 20 grams of sugar per serving. The study emphasizes that consumers should look at nutrition labels more closely before eating any food from a fast food restaurant to make sure that their choice is a healthy one.
Speaking of living healthy, want to live a longer life? Try gardening or fixing up the house. A Swedish study suggests older people who don't sit on the couch all day will live longer. The study says just getting off the couch and doing some work around the house will cut the risk of heart disease and stroke by almost 30%.
Eating healthy is not always a priority for college students who would probably rather spend their money on other, more fun activities. But what a lot of students don't know is there are some simple ways to make eating a balanced diet much cheaper. Over to Sarah for more on the story.
Thanks, Joni. The freshman 15 is a real problem for a lot of college students who don't know how to cook for themselves or they can't afford healthy foods. Luckily, we have some tips for you. Eating healthy on a budget is a major concern for college students. Not knowing how to cook, combined with cheap and unhealthy on-campus food options, make it hard to choose meals wisely. But eating cheaply and healthily is not as difficult as many students think. One American University student has a system.
Especially for what I like to eat, I found that buying in bulk is the best. You can do this with yogurt, you can do it with chicken, and the great thing about that is if you cook everything, then that's how you make your quick, easy meals, is that you have everything already cooked. So you have your chicken cooked, all right, I want to make a quick chicken sandwich. One of the things I love telling people too is to check websites for coupons. So I am a huge lover of yogurt. I buy 32-ounce tubs every single week of yogurt, and so to save money, simply just check the website.
Some of these tips and tricks are part of the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Office of Disease Prevention and Health Promotion's Eat Healthy Workshop. Jody Gann helped to create that program.
Think in terms of stocking your fridge in an apartment. You want to have lots of fruits and vegetables, but they can be expensive, and so you want to buy in season. So right now apples are a great deal, and berries are not. You can also stock your freezer with some frozen fruits and vegetables. A lot of people think that maybe they're not as nutritious, and that's not true, and they'll definitely save you money.
For more information on eating healthy on a budget and other health tips, visit www.health.gov. finding money to eat healthy foods is only one problem facing college students. Budgeting money is a problem in general. Joining us today to talk more about student finance is Professor Kimberly Cornegia. Thank you for talking to us today, Professor. Sorry about that.
My pleasure.
So my first question is, for most college students, they're living on their own for the first time, and they're not really getting help from their parents financially. What sort of advice do you have for those students?
Well, I think the first thing I would recommend would be advice before they leave campus. The Kogod School offers a personal finance class that you can take as a free elective. It's a semester long of practical application. After school, I think my experience with students and my own experience is the temptation to buy new clothes and to buy new furniture for the apartment. It's your first apartment, and to buy new televisions, cars, et cetera, is overwhelming. So I think, disciplining yourself to save pre-tax out of the paycheck helps you save before you actually get the cash in your hands. And then to the extent that you do need to borrow on occasion to make such purchases, finding a loan through a bank, perhaps with the cosigner, perhaps without a cosigner, is still going to be a lot cheaper than putting anything on a credit card.
And now thinking about students who have just graduated or about to graduate, how do you suggest that they transition from being a student in their finances to being a post-grad in their student loans? What advice would you have for them?
Yeah, so the student loans that are subsidized, and I'm embarrassed to say I'm not even sure what the rates are. My student loans, I think I paid about 3%. So I was not in a hurry to pay those loans off because they were such low financing. But if it's a sizable interest rate, then paying those off quickly is obviously sensible. But to the extent that there's any credit card debt, that has to get paid first because that's double-digit interest and it's going to cut into the rest of the budget.
Great. So do you have any software or like maybe Outlook for Microsoft that would help students budget their money in a timeline?
If their time permits, I used the Microsoft Money myself for the better part of 2 decades. It is a time-consuming tool. I think it's useful for those that find a hard time actually budgeting. But if you can put cash into an envelope and say, this is my entertainment budget, and when the cash runs out, you're done, that's a sort of a low-tech and equally useful way to budget your money.
And for students that are worrying about their credit, would you suggest that they open a credit card while they're in college, or do you think they should wait until they graduate?
That's a good question that's actually counterintuitive. My advice would be to not open the credit card just because of the risk of using the credit card, particularly after an evening of drinking. It's very easy to pull the card out. So my advice would be against it. Having said that, I do think there is, when you're in your 30s perhaps and looking to buy a home, having an established track record of having credit and sensibly using the credit is actually beneficial. So my advice would be to avoid the credit cards in school, and then to sensibly and reasonably use one credit card after you're gainfully employed.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Professor Carnegie.
My pleasure.
And now back to Joni and Isbella at the desk.
Thanks, Sarah. Coming up after the break, Washingtonians are crazy about brunch. What are some of their favorite spots? Terrence Stansberry reports.
Plus, ever wonder the best way to train your dog? We've got an expert trainer here in the studio with some tips, with 2 Goldens helping out. Stay tuned.